You are listening to a cassette recording of a channeling session from the Raw Contact, a series of 106 sessions that were conducted between 1981 and 1984, using a form of tuned trance telepathy. Throughout these sessions, a group of entities identified as Ra shared information regarding the Law of One, spiritual evolution, and a variety of esoteric topics through a series of questions and answers. The full text transcript of these recorded sessions can be read for free at lnlresearch.org, where you can also learn more about this audio and its origins. This recording is intended for personal study and is not available for commercial use. Please contact LNL Research if you wish to use this audio in any other way.
Raw number 85, April 26th, 1982.
We communicate now.
You first give me the condition of the instrument.
I am well. We ask your permission to preface this and well by the inclusion of the equation which we use.
That's agreeable.
We greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. We were having some difficulty with the channel of energy influx due to a pain, a flare, as you call this distortion of the physical body complex of this instrument. Therefore, it was necessary to speak as briefly as possible until we had safely transferred the mind-body-spirit complex of this instrument. We beg your kind indulgence for our discourtesy. It was appropriate. The condition of this instrument is as follows. The necessity for extreme vigilance is less due to the somewhat lessened physical complex energy deficit. The potential for distortion remains, and continued watchfulness over the ingestion of helpful foodstuffs continues to be recommended. Although the instrument is experiencing more than the, shall we say, a normal for this mind, a body, a spirit, a complex, a distortion towards a pain at this space-time nexus. The basic condition is less distorted. The vital energies are as previously stated. We commend the vigilance and care of this group.
What is the current situation with respect to our fifth density service to self-polarized companion, shall I say?
Your companion has never been more closely associated with you than at the present nexus. You may see a kind of a crisis occurring upon the so-called magical level at this particular space-time nexus.
What is the nature of this crisis?
The nature of this crisis is the determination of the relative polarity of your companion and yourselves. You are in the position of being in the third density illusion and consequently having the conscious collective magical ability of the neophyte, whereas your companion is most adept. However, the faculties of will and faith and the calling to the light have been used by this group to the exclusion of any significant depolarization from the service to others path. If your companion can possibly depolarize this group, it must do so, and that quickly, for in this unsuccessful attempt at exploring the wisdom of separation, it is encountering some depolarization. This shall continue. Therefore, the efforts of your companion are pronounced at this space, time, and time-space nexus.
I'm totally aware of the lack of necessity or even rational need for naming of entities or things. I was wondering if this particular entity had a name, just so that we could reduce or increase our efficiency of communicating with respect to it. Does he have a name?
I am love. Yes.
Would it be magically bad for us to know that name, or would it make no difference?
I am love. It would make a difference.
What would the difference be?
I am love. If one wishes to have power over an entity, it is an aid to know that entity's name. if one wishes no power over an entity, but wishes to collect that entity into the very heart of one's own being. It is well to forget the naming. Both processes are magically viable. Each is polarized in a specific way. It is your choice.
I'm assuming that it would be a problem for the instrument if she were to meditate without the hand pressure from the other self at this time because of continued grieving. Is this correct?
Well, this is correct if the instrument wishes to remain free from this potential separation of mind, body, spirit complex from the third density. It now experiences.
I am assuming that if for no other reason, since our fifth density companion has been monitoring our communications with Ra, it has been made aware of the veiling process of which we have been speaking. And it seems to me that from an intellectual point of view, that the conscious knowledge and acceptance of the fact that this veiling process was used for the purpose for which it was used, that it would be difficult to maintain a negative polarization once it was intellectually consciously accepted that this veiling process did in fact occur in the way that you have described. Could you clear up my thinking on that point?
I am love. We are unsure as to our success in realigning your modes of meditation. We may, however, comment the polarization process as it enters fourth density. is one which occurs with a full knowledge of the veiling process which has taken place in a third density. This veiling process is that which is a portion of the third density experience. The knowledge and memory of the outcome of this and all portions of the third density experience informs the higher density, a polarized entity. It, however, does not influence the choice which has been made and which is the basis for further work past third density in polarization. Those which have chosen the service to others path have simply used the veiling process in order to potentiate that which is not. This is an entirely acceptable method of self-knowledge of and by the Creator.
You just stated that those who are on the service to others path use the veiling process to potentiate that which is not. I believe I'm correct in repeating what you said. Is that correct?
I am. Well, yes.
And the service to others path that potentiated that which is not. Could you expand that a little bit, if I could understand it better?
I am. Well, if you see the energy centers in their various colors, completing the spectrum, you may see that the service to others choice is one which denies the very center of the spectrum, that being universal love. Therefore, all that is built upon the penetration of the light of harvestable quality by such entities is based upon an omission. This omission shall manifest in a fourth density as the love of self, that is the fullest expression of the orange and a yellow energy centers, which then are used to potentiate communication and adepthood. When a fifth density of refinement has been achieved, that which is not is carried further. The wisdom density being explored by entities which have no compassion and no universal love. They experience that which they wish by free choice, a being of the earnest opinion that green ray energy is folly. That which is not may be seen as a self-imposed darkness in which harmony is turned into an eternal disharmony. However, that which is not cannot endure throughout the octave of third density, and as darkness eventually calls the light, so does that which is not eventually call that which is.
I believe that there were salient errors in the communication we just completed because of transmission difficulties. Are you aware of these errors?
I am well. We are unaware of errors, although this instrument is experiencing the flares of pain, as you call this distortion. We are welcome and encourage your perceptions in correcting any errors in the transmission.
I think simply that the statement was made that about the previous communication that we were speaking of the service to others path. Would you check that, please?
And may we ask that you be apprised of our intention to have spoken of the service to a self, a path, as the path of that which is not.
I'm just interested in the problem here that we sometimes have with transmission, since the word others was used 3 times in the transmission rather than the word self. And could you give me an idea of the problem in communication that we have there that creates that type of an anomaly, which, if I didn't catch, could create a rather large discrepancy in communication?
I am love. Firstly, we may note the clumsiness of language and our unfamiliarity with it in our native, shall we say, experience. Secondly, we may point out that once we have miscalled or misnumbered an event or a thing, that referent is quite likely to be reused for some a transmission, a time, as you call this measurement, due to our original error having gone undetected by ourselves.
Thank you. Do you have use of all of the words in the English language, and for that matter, all of the words in all languages that are spoken upon this planet at this time?
am not. No.
I have a question here from Jim. It states, I believe that one of my primary pre-incarnative choices was to open my green ray energy center for healing purposes. As I see my compassion developing, is it more appropriate to balance this compassion with wisdom in my healing exercises, or to allow the compassion to develop as much as possible without being balanced?
I am well. This query borders upon that type of question to which answers are unavailable due to the free will, the prohibitions upon information from the teach learners. To the student of the balancing process, we may suggest that the most stringent honesty be applied, as compassion is perceived. It is suggested that in balancing, this perception be analyzed. It may take many essays into compassion before true universal love is the product of the attempted opening and crystallization of this all-important springboard energy center. Thus, the student may discover many other components to what may seem to be all-embracing love. Each of these components may be balanced and accepted as part of the self and as transitional material as the entity's seat of learned teaching moves ever more fairly into the green ray. When it is perceived that universal love has been achieved. The next balancing may or may not be a wisdom. If the adept is a balancing manifestations, it is indeed appropriate to balance universal love and wisdom. If the balancing is of mind or spirit, there are many subtleties to which the adept may give careful consideration. Love and wisdom, like love and light, are not black and white, shall we say, but faces of the same coin, if you will. Therefore, it is not in all cases that balancing consists of a movement from compassion to wisdom. We may suggest at all times the constant remembrance of the density from which each adept desires to move. This density learns the lessons of love. In the case of wanderers, there are half-forgotten overlays of other lessons and other densities. We shall leave these considerations with the questioner and invite observations which we shall then be most happy to respond to in what may seem to be a more effectual manner.
What changes of functions or control or understanding, etc.,
transferred energy, but is experiencing a pain flares. May we ask that you repeat the query as we have a better channel now.
After the veiling process, certain veiled functions or activities must have been paramount in creating evolution in desired polarized directions. I was just wondering which of these had the greatest effect on polarization.
I am well. The most effectual veiling was that of the mind.
I would like to carry that on to find out what specific functions of the mind were most effectual, and the 3 or 4 most effective changes brought about to create the polarization.
I am well. This is an interesting query. The primary veiling was of such a significance that it may be seen to be analogous to the mantling of the earth over all the jewels within the earth's crust, whereas previously all facets of the Creator were consciously known. After the veiling, almost no facets of the Creator were known to the mind. Almost all was buried beneath the veil. If one were to attempt to list those functions of mind most significant in that they might be of aid in a polarization, one would need to begin with the faculty of visioning, envisioning, or far-seeing. Without the veil, the mind was not caught in your illusory time. With the veil, space-time is the only obvious possibility for experience. Also, upon the list of significant veiled functions of the mind would be that of a dreaming. The so-called dreaming contains a great deal, which, if made available to the conscious mind and used, shall aid it in polarization to a great extent. The third function of the mind, which is significant and which has been veiled, is that of the knowing of the body, the knowledge of and control over the body, having been lost to a great extent in the veiling process, is thusly lost from the experience of the seeker. Its knowledge before the veiling is of small use. Its knowledge after the veiling and in the face of what is now a dense illusion of separation of body complex from mind complex is quite significant. Perhaps the most important and significant function that occurred due to the veiling of the mind from itself is not in itself a function of mind, but rather is a product of the potential created by this veiling. This is the faculty of will or pure desire. We may ask for brief queries at this time. Although there is energy remaining for this working. We are reluctant to continue this contact, experiencing continual variations due to pain flares, as you call this distortion. Although we are unaware of any misgiven material, we are aware that there have been several points during which our channel was less than optimal. This instrument is most faithful, but we do not wish to misuse this instrument. Please query as you will.
Well, I'll just ask in closing, is an individualized portion or entity of Ra inhabiting the instrument's body for the purpose of communication, and then is there anything that we can do to improve the contact or make the instrument more comfortable?
I am Ra. We of Ra communicate through narrow band, a channel through the violet ray energy center. We are not, as you would say, physically indwelling in this instrument. Rather, the mind, a body, a spirit, a complex of this instrument rests with us. You are diligent and conscientious. The alignments are excellent. We leave you rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite Creator. Go forth then, my friends, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the infinite love and the ineffable light of the one Creator. I am Ra. Adonai.
All right. All right. All right. Way done.
All right.